On this month's show, we speak with Miss Beth and Mr. RJ from the Arts Center of Cannon County, and then we speak to Miss Taylor and Miss Leeann with the Emmanuel House in Carthage. Of course, Justin will be here talking about dictation. You don't want to miss that. And lots more technology, news, and tidbits from around the region.
Learn more about fun local events and interesting people throughout the heart of Middle Tennessee with a dash of everyday tech talk thrown in for good measure. The Local Click starts now.
Happy November, everyone. Welcome to The Local Click. The Local Click is the technology-based podcast brought to you by DTC Communications each and every month, where we talk all things technology and local people. And we appreciate you joining us each and every month, whether you're watching us on DTC3 or YouTube or listening to us as part of our podcast delivery while you're driving to work or whatever you do each and every month. We just appreciate you being with us, and we hope you're enjoying the program. Back with me as a co-host, as he is each and every month, is Mr. Justin Malden. Hello, Justin, and how's it going today?
It is going fabulous. I want you to know I've set a goal for this podcast. I want us to be the #1 local podcast in all of Middle Tennessee.
Okay.
And we do it.
I think we can do it if you guys listening and watching can help us do that. So, help us get the word out a little bit. Feel free to share the information about the podcast to those that might be interested in it. And maybe this could be even someone's very first podcast. Maybe they're not normally podcast people, but this might be their foray into the podcast listening and watching environment. So, but yeah, we hope you will, because it's always a lot of fun. We have local people that they'll probably know eventually. Each and every month we kind of look at different people in our service area, and we have quite a few feelers out there, if you will, throughout the local communities. I'm sure they're going to know some of the people that we speak with.
Yeah, and listen, we make it very easy. Just hit that subscribe button on whatever platform that you're using, and that first Wednesday each month, you don't have to go and search us or look for us. We'll just show up, and we will be ready each and every month.
That's right. It's all about fun, and who couldn't use an extra dose of fun? So as far as November, of course, Thanksgiving's coming up, and lots of things to be thankful for.
This time of the year for a lot of people, there's a lot of family time, but other things in life tend to slow down a little bit, and we focus on maybe some of the little bit more important things.
That's right.
And I hope everybody enjoys this time with the fall weather, and it's getting a little bit cooler. We're having a little bit more family time, and hopefully you will not be like me and overindulge on the holiday that is coming up at the end of the month when you do get together.
No, I've never been known to overindulge. Yeah, ever. But no, it's such a great time, because it's kind of the beginning of seeing more and more family, and some of those you don't get to see a lot throughout the year. Of course, Christmas is just around the corner as well. And it's just one of my favorite times. Of course, another kind of neat part of it is, with the fall colors and the leaves changing and the cooler temps and that sort of thing is always great.
I was worried this year with some of the weather patterns that we've seen and the lack of rain that we've had.
Mm-hmm.
I was really starting to worry because, it was probably a month and a half ago, I had leaves just falling off my trees, and I'm like, are we going to see the fall colors? And thankfully we did. We were able to see those colors change and to be able to take in that beauty, not for long, but it's something that we were able to partake in and see. Now we know we're truly in that time of the year.
That's right. We'll be speaking with some people from the Emmanuel House in just a moment in Carthage, which is a great program that's helping women and mothers in addiction and that needs that sort of help. And it's just amazing that there are people that are willing to give their time and resources to help those in need. And that'll be coming up in just a moment. But first, our very first set of people we'd like to talk to for our interview segment on the Local Click would be Miss Beth McCrary and RJ Palhegyi with the Arts Center of Cannon County. Welcome. Thanks for being on the show today.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
We really appreciate it. It's always good to have our hometown folks, so to speak, just literally down the road from the studio here in Woodbury where we're filming, be on the program. So I know a lot of people probably keep in touch with what you guys have going on, but there may be some people, beyond this close radius of the Woodbury area that'll be very excited to learn all the exciting things going on.
No, absolutely. There's never a dull moment at the Arts Center, as I say. There's always something going on.
There's always some kind of event going. In fact, me and Beth were talking just a moment ago off camera, and we're like, well, what's your downtime throughout the year? What's your less busy time? She said, we really don't have one, and I believe that. That's probably true.
I guess the only time we really have down is we all go and celebrate Christmas.
Well, that's true.
And then that's about it.
But
January 2nd, we're all back and
but a lot of
we're
times
rolling.
we still have a project going. Like we painted the gallery one year, when nobody's in the building, we do things like that.
For that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. If you would each kind of introduce yourself and just tell us a little bit about yourself and your background and how you ended up at the Arts Center.
I grew up in South Florida and came up here to go to MTSU and just, did theater as an extracurricular and played sports my whole life. But, one very large defensive lineman falls on your shoulder and you can't really do contact sports anymore. So I got really involved in theater and graduated from MTSU and had a friend who was directing a show at the Arts Center and I was helping out. And I guess Beth took notice that I kept showing up on time and helping and just sort of fate happened. There was just an opening. I was at the right place at the right time and it's been a blast ever since. And it has grown into so much more than I bargained for.
Oh, that's great. Life has a way of doing that sometimes to you.
Absolutely. It started out, she had me run the summer conservatory camp that we do, and then made me director of education. And then now I'm also the middle school theater teacher at Cannon County Middle.
Okay,
it's just
awesome.
grown.
So tell us about yourself, Beth, and what's your story and how did you end up helping at the Arts Center?
99 was my first encounter with the Arts Center because my son, the one you saw in School of Rock.
Yes.
We walked in to pick up something actually for somebody else, and he said, "Can anybody audition?" So he did, and from there on, we became part of it. And I was actually hired in 2013 because I'm actually a programmer. I have no theater background, zero. Have no desire to be on stage. I do everything else, but I have no desire to be on stage. And so I was programming all their software for them, all their ticketing system and everything.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then I ended up going to work at MTSU some, and Neil decided he was leaving, and they asked me to come and run it. So that was 2017.
So you probably had no inkling of an idea at a younger age that you'd ever be in showbiz, right?
No, not at all. I'm a math person.
Hey, but
I do love it.
Yeah.
I mean,
and it's a lot of people don't realize we need people like Beth
Absolutely.
at the Arts Center because, when someone like me or some of the other directors come up with these crazy ideas, we need to make sure we have the numbers and all to make sure that it's all going to work.
And the attention to detail, too. It takes a
absolutely.
certain kind of personality to make sure that everything's ready, behind the scenes and that sort of thing. So,
I mean, I do some creative stuff there. Like I paint the floors a lot. A lot of the floors you see are mine. And when there's a show coming up, we all take a different role. We all step into each other's roles and just do whatever needs to be done. It's kind of an all hands on deck on the last week or two.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about shows, kind of explain to everyone listening or watching some of the different types of shows because it's a huge variety. It's not just one style of event that you guys usually host there.
We spend probably 2 or 3 months figuring out what the lineup is going to be. And we do mostly musicals for our main stage show, but it's, trying to find, as I said earlier, something for everybody, some golden age musicals, something new, something that might push the envelope a little bit, and then try to throw a regular play in so that not only is it different for the audience, but it's also different for people in the community to come and audition. I'm someone who cannot sing and dance, so I'm not ever going to be in a musical. So we try to give opportunities to as many people as possible. You have to look at the stories and the shows, and it's like, okay, well, this one is very male heavy oriented in the cast, or this one's very female oriented. And it's trying to find that balance that works for everyone. So we give almost everybody an opportunity. If you come to the Arts Center, you see a different cast almost every show. You'll see a few familiar faces pop up here and there, but mostly every show, because they are so different, requires different talent and different people. So you do get that variety of people.
So you try to focus on the strength of
absolutely
those participating. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We also have 3 children's shows every year, and some of those do require adults, but some of them are junior shows, which means they have to be 18 and under. So that also gives opportunities to younger actors.
Right.
And it's nice when we have field trips that come to these 3 shows from schools. And it's nice that kids see kids on stage because it gets them excited about that.
We did Tom Sawyer back in March, and it's a show I directed. And Becky Thatcher and Tom Sawyer, I know because I'm at the middle school, caused a riot in the middle school because all the kids fell in love with Tom and Becky.
That's awesome.
So it's, hey, whatever works. Works.
Right, exactly. You do what you have to do,
Exactly.
and you run with it, right?
Since RJ has been in the middle school, we've had a lot more Cannon County kids,
Yep.
which
That's great to
we've
have
been
that
trying to
local
reach them for a
participation.
while.
Yeah.
Because there hasn't been a theater class out here in a lot of years. There's still not really one at the high school. There's a drama club, but there's not a.
We're working on it.
We're working on it.
Maybe next time we come on,
Maybe.
we can talk more
Yes.
about that.
That'd be
I hope
great.
so. I'd love that. But since then, we've had more try out, and we've had some regulars come.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they
100%.
come to. We also let them come to some of our previews too, so that they can
Get a
come.
feel for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We are in Tennessee. We are the volunteer state, and I'm sure it takes a ton of volunteers to pull these kind of shows off, right?
Oh, it does. We have box office people. We have, even the actors are volunteers because we're in community theater.
Right.
Nonprofit.
Almost every person on stage. No, not almost. Every person on stage is a volunteer. When I teach to the kids, I try to compare it to like Little League or something. It's you go out because you love to do it.
Right.
And
For the
it's
love of it.
these are for a lot of people, community theater is their Little League. It's their Pee Wee football. It's what they do every night, 365 days out of the year.
We also have like set builders. We have people who come in and paint besides me. And White Oak. We have a lot of volunteers for White Oak.
That's one of the things I was going to ask about too. That's such a big event. Talk about that a little bit.
Heather Mulder is now the coordinator for that. It used to be Carol Reed. I don't know if you remember her. She passed away a couple years ago. Anyway, she's been doing it a couple years, and she's doing a great job. But it's a 2-day event. It's Saturday and Sunday in September. And we have about 70 artisans. It is juried, which means they have to go through a little panel, which is the White Oak board.
And that's set up on the grounds there, right?
It is outside. Yeah. We do have a basket maker inside and some other demo people inside. We had this last year. We had a weaver and a basket maker and
quilt makers in there, yeah.
And a potter. So I think we had around 3,000 come in.
Wow, that's
we just
great.
kind of have to estimate it by cars.
Right.
And we have the Cannon County Rescue Squad now is doing our parking. So we partnered with them. And it's just a great event. I mean, that's a great place to come and do early Christmas shopping or birthday shopping.
Yeah, you
there's
can get those unique gifts.
Yeah, you can't find these anywhere else. Some of them we carry in our gift shop, but still each one is unique because they handmade it. But on the vibe of Christmas shopping, I was just going to say we also have a holiday bazaar that we do starting the Saturday after Thanksgiving.
Okay.
And it runs until we shut down on Christmas, which I think this year is the 20th.
Okay.
We actually shut down, I think, the 21st, but we're running this through the 20th. And a lot of the White Oak artists are in there. Some are not. Some of it is, it's not juried, so it's not quite as upscale on the artisan side. But we have, I think, around 20 booths in there, and you can come anytime we're open.
What a great idea for some Christmas ideas, yeah.
And the artists are not there, so they set up and we man it. But it's a really nice place to come and get some Christmas shopping done.
Speaking of things coming up soon, talk about some of the events and shows and that sort of thing you have coming up next few months.
Well, the next one is Guys and Dolls, which RJ is directing. It starts November 8th.
Oh, that'll be
November
great.
8th. Yeah, It's been a ton of fun. I could not have been luckier with the people that came out to be in it. It's
lots of talent, sounds like.
So much talent. It's, 24 people. The oldest person is probably in their 60s and the youngest is probably 14. And, people and like one or two people who have never done a show before. So it's just,
oh, that's great.
It's a great collection of people who are so dedicated and extremely talented. Like they're going to make me look so good come November 8th.
It runs through the 23rd, correct?
Correct, through the 23rd, November 8th through the 23rd. And it's just a big, fun Golden Age musical. there was a movie of it in the 1950s. It starred Marlon Brando and Frank Sinatra. So if
Big
you know
shoes to fill.
yeah, big shoes to fill.
Yeah.
So if you know the Sinatra song "Luck Be a Lady," that's where this musical is where that song came from.
Yeah.
So a lot of Rat Pack songs were actually recorded after the musical was made. I know Dean Martin did a couple and Sinatra did a couple, but it's a fun, multi-layered love story comedy that is just it's going to be a great time.
Yeah, there'll be songs in it that even when we first started rehearsing, I was like, oh, that's where that came from. You know, because you'll hear songs that you didn't realize came from that
You didn't realize the origination of it, yeah.
After that, in December, we have a kids show. Our first one for the school year is Elf Jr.
Yep.
Oh, that'll be great.
Yep. So if you know the Will Ferrell movie,
Yeah.
it's basically the exact same thing, except they've thrown some very catchy songs in there. And we got a very talented group of kids together that are putting
18
on.
and under.
Yep, 18 and under that they're putting on. It's one of those things you sit there and you go, wow, these are actually just kids doing this. But these kids can put on a full-blown production basically by themselves.
And these are not professional actors.
No.
That's the thing that when I see some of the shows, I go in there and 5 minutes in, you totally lose fact of, these are not professionals that do this for a living 24/7. These are local people most of the time that are just jumping in, and they do it so well. It's almost mind blowing because you get tangled in the storyline and you just forget that part.
Oh, absolutely.
And they just do such a great job. You just enjoy it.
Yeah, and we're fortunate enough post-COVID, and Beth, you could probably talk more about it, where we've really updated our systems and also our sound, our lights.
Yes, I could tell that on some of the last
really,
shows that I
really
attended.
just high-quality stuff that gives us a little
And
bit
seating,
of an edge.
your seating too.
Yes.
That
This
was a
year we
big deal.
updated the seating.
Yeah. I noticed that. It was really nice.
It was
really
that day after Christmas,
Yes.
January
Yep.
2nd. We were all
there putting up
putting in
seats.
seats.
Yeah. I think I was there for maybe the first show after that. I can't remember. It seems like
Oh, it was the Allman Brothers concert.
that's the one.
That's
Yeah.
'cause
That
you
is
said you
the
went
one.
to that.
I did,
That
which
it,
was
yeah.
amazing. In that time, I wanted to make sure we talk about this a little bit too, because as a musician, I just love all the live music concerts and shows and that sort of. Talk about some of those kind of events and how do you choose that, and maybe any that you have coming up too.
Yeah, we have several scheduled. We don't have any until next year.
Okay.
January is our first one. Most of them contact us in some way or another. Some of them we seeked out, like some that have been at Hop Springs or somewhere.
Yeah, we have
seen one or something.
We have a Fleetwood Mac band coming in May next year, and I saw
that'd be
they were
great.
at Hop Springs a couple months ago, and I went with my family out there to see them. And I walked into work a couple days later, and I'm like, we need to reach out to these people because they're incredible.
And
It's
it brings
actually-
them local. That's what I like. too.
Yes, it is. Daxton is actually the one who schedules them.
Okay.
And kind of seeks them out if we are looking for somebody.
Well, anyone that knows Daxton knows that he has some musical ties
Oh,
as
yes.
well. So he's very qualified to help
He is.
with
You'll
that.
see him as who is he in the $1 Million Quartet? Is he Jerry Lee Lewis?
Yes, Jerry Lee
Yeah.
Lewis.
We're
That's
doing-
coming back.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
The $1
It's
Million Christmas
quartet.
Quartet.
Everyone needs
Christmas.
to make sure they put that on their calendar
And
and
they-
not
That's-
miss that.
They have over a year to plan. It'll be
Yes,
Christmas.
December 5th through
2020.
21st of 2025.
Okay.
So he'll be in there.
Yep, to put the cherry on top of the great season we have next year, the 45th season
Oh,
next year.
wow. Congratulations.
He'll also be in Shake, Rattle, and Roll
That's
next
right.
September because he has, they have their own band.
Yes.
So they'll be here in September.
We have,
We
a
got
Johnny
A.R.
Cash guy.
Yeah, in January, Fleetwood Mac in May, Piano Men in May also, which is a tribute to Billy Joel and Elton John. Music City Stones, they've been there before. I don't know if did you ever
Rolling
see them?
Stones. I
Yes.
haven't seen. I saw the real Rolling Stones at Nissan a couple
there you
years
go.
ago.
Well, this may be just as good. You
They
never know.
probably.
I bet so.
Oh, we have one other one that was added.
Hank Williams.
Yes, the Hank Williams.
There's a Hank Williams
Oh,
one
that's
coming.
great too.
Yeah.
Talk about the education part of it and how important that is to keep this going in rural areas, because to me, I think that's an often overlooked thing. Everybody's so busy with different aspects of life and all this, and it's important to kind of pass that on to the next generation to get them involved in some of these kinds of things.
Education of theater is one thing that's, well, even music is one of the first things that is dropped when there's a budget problem.
Right.
And it hasn't been out here. I can't remember the last time. It feels like it was in the early 2000s the last time the kids were exposed really to theater, other than our field trips. There's a lot of kids that don't fit in anywhere else. They don't fit in sports. They may not be the academic, the academic clubs and all that. So they don't really have a place to go. They may not be music, or musical, but theater is something anybody can feel comfortable in. And it does grow them as far as public speaking. It grows their confidence. I just feel like it's a great thing for kids to get into.
And there's just so many avenues that it can open up.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
tech-wise, too.
Tech-wise. I mean, we're constantly searching for someone to run lights and sound during shows, trying to find people to build the sets.
So it's not just the people performing in these programs, it's the behind the scenes
Paint,
skills.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Some kids who are incredible artists and painters, we try to get to them so they can do these big things on the sets that a lot of people don't even realize that there are those opportunities to get involved and to do things.
And that could be
like
future
that.
careers.
Absolutely.
For those
Costuming
people
is
too.
even one.
Costumes. Yeah. Gosh, finding costumes is like...
Or sewing or what, there's just so many things that they could get into. And I don't think they realize it, but it really is a confidence booster. I've seen kids grow up who, my youngest one is an example. I use this. If he hears this, he'll be mad. He wouldn't really talk, he could talk, but he didn't go up to people and talk, and he wouldn't say anything. Really.
Not as outgoing, maybe.
No, not as my older one. And we put him in the conservatory with Brad, the oldest one. And we thought, he's not going to do anything. He's not going to do it, or he'll, back out after a couple of days. He got on stage, and he just went crazy. And he started doing shows after that also.
Oh, wow.
It's just, and now he is one that does not talk to anybody. He'll talk to strangers and such. So it's just, I just feel like it just grows them.
Yeah. And it's also a big thing that a lot of people don't know is that literally every audition is open to anybody. We can't guarantee you'll get cast every time, but you know what? Every show is an opportunity for you to either be on stage, get behind the scenes. We're always looking for people. And it's like anything, the more you're exposed to it, the more you learn about it.
Right.
And it's what we talked about earlier, picking the shows. It's some people have a stigma or a stereotype of what a theater show would be, where it's, if you look at our season next year, Sweeney Todd is a great musical, but it is a dark tale about a serial killer, and it's really dark and twisted when you compare it to Oklahoma, which is a big sappy love story on the plains.
Right. And that's a different kind of personality that might excel at one show versus the other.
Absolutely. Right. And then, after Sweeney Todd, we're doing an Agatha Christie murder mystery. We're doing Mousetrap. It's, so there is different things that they don't even realize are there until they get in.
We talked to a lot of our guests too about how they incorporate, technology and the internet and broadband to help promote what they're doing. So how important is it to use those kinds of technologies in your day-to-day operation?
It's almost essential. I mean,
it is essential. If our internet is down, we're kind of down because we can't buy, sell tickets or anything like that.
We just rely on it. It seems like
we do
so much.
We do big social media pushes for our shows and make videos and have photographers come in. So if things can't get posted, y'all don't know about what's going on. Because, we can send a letter or an email out, but until you see a photo of...
You have to have internet for email.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. We can't even send that. We can't even do that. But, until you see someone in a costume with a setting around them, it's just a poster or just some words.
So if people want to stay in touch with the various schedule, all the shows coming up, whether it be the plays, the musicals, the concerts, and all that, what's the best way to do that?
You can sign up for our mailing list if you like. You can do that online at artscenterofcc.com, or you can call us at 615-563-2787. But we're on Facebook, and we post everything we're doing. Watch our website. Everything is up, that you can do. Or if you, like I said, sign up for our email list and we send out emails.
Yeah.
When anything's going on.
I'd say the next audition coming up is probably what I'm doing next would be the next school show of the year, which can feature adults in it, is a Sherlock Holmes musical.
Oh, that
Sherlock
sounds fun.
Holmes and the Mystery of the Crown Jewel. It's going to be a lot of fun. So hope a lot of you can come out and try out.
Yeah.
And all that information will be up very soon.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here with us today and telling us and the audience about all the great things going at the Art Center of Cannon County. It's amazing. I still can't really believe that this is in our backyard. Sometimes we're so lucky to have the facility here and what you guys do. And we just want to thank you, for all the hours you guys put in too.
I appreciate you having us.
Yes, thank you so much for having us. Come see Guys and Dolls starting later this week. It's going to be, as I said, it's going to be a great time.
It's going to be fun. That's
I may look like a crazy person because I'll be sweating bullets being so nervous, but everyone else is going to have a great time.
But everyone else is going to enjoy themselves, right?
Exactly.
Well, thanks so much. And definitely come back sometime and we'll kind of keep in touch with some of the new events and programs coming up. So
Absolutely.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Everyone, stay tuned. We've got more of the show coming up in just a moment.
Great communities attract talented people to live, work, and raise their families. We've deployed a high-speed network that helps the best and the brightest enjoy better lives in our smart rural community. Great small businesses provide jobs that help workers earn a good living and provide for their families while strengthening local economies. We deploy fiber internet that helps those businesses succeed. Great doctor and patient relationships create bonds that lead to healthier lives. We deliver secure connections so every home and rural healthcare provider can connect to the best healthcare options. Great schools help knowledge-hungry students learn, think creatively, and follow their passions. We've built the network that helps their dreams take off. Great farmers provide the food that sustains and nourishes our nation and the world. We keep those farmers connected to the technology that ensures their crops can thrive. We've planned, engineered, and constructed a cutting-edge communications network. We're committed to delivering future-proof broadband so our friends, families, and neighbors can live rich lives in smart rural communities across America. Your community is our community. We're your rural broadband partners. You do great things. We make great things possible.
Gaming builds real skills for real careers in esports and beyond. Project manager, content creator, customer service rep, software developer. Build your skills with Fiber Gaming Network and DTC. Learn more at fibergamingnetwork.com.
And welcome back to the program, everyone. We're going to start this segment off, like we do each and every month, by throwing it to Justin for a little part of the show we like to affectionately call Justin's Tech Tips. Justin, take it away.
All right, so this month we're going to talk about something that is on most of your devices, and you may not even know it's there, and you may have never used it before, but we're going to talk about voice dictation. Or in some applications, what some people may call it is speech to text, potentially, where you can transcribe your own words into whatever your written natural language is.
Okay.
And so, we're used to smart devices in our homes. So a lot of people may have a Google Home, or they may have an Amazon Echo, or what everybody calls Alexa. We don't call it by the device name. We call it by Alexa, which is actually the voice assistant built into
That's the name of
device.
the assistant we're speaking with.
Or if you may have an Apple HomePod and you have Siri built into that, and you have those things built into smartphones as well. And oftentimes we're used to saying, "Hey, Google," or "Hey, name of the Apple assistant that I'm not going to speak," since we both have those devices sitting on our desk in front, and I don't want to accidentally trigger those devices and being able to give it commands. And those are very simple things. And if you're not utilizing those features, I would encourage you to utilize those on your smart devices. But something that you can do in just about any app, and it's usually through your keyboard, is you can do voice dictation. And what that is whether you can have a Google device, an Android device, it could be Samsung, Apple, it doesn't matter. All of these modern smartphones have this built in. So we're not talking about the assistant. We were talking about dictation, and every single one of them does basically the same thing. Pull up, type where you're going to click where you're going to type something in on your device, and when it brings up the keyboard, you're going to have a little microphone symbol somewhere on that keyboard. And what you can do is you can click it, and again, it depends upon which specific device. Some devices you have to hold it down. Some you tap it to start, and then you tap it again to end. But what you will do is you will speak, and it will translate your speech into written text. Now, these have come a long way. Used to, if you were speaking to it and you were just talking and you were using voice dictation, if you didn't put what grammar and pronunciation and you didn't put your periods and your commas and stuff like that,
right,
it wouldn't add them. You would just you could speak for 5 minutes and it would transcribe it for you as
one big long sentence,
huge long run-on sentence.
Yeah.
Now, with the advancements in technology and the word that we hear repeated all the time, AI.
Oh, I've heard of that.
Here. Yeah, it understands natural language a lot better, and it will insert grammar for you, so you don't have to do those things. But if you're driving down the road, real world example that I utilize is I'm driving down the road and I get a message, and I activate on my steering wheel without my hands coming off of the steering wheel, staying fully compliant with the hands-free law here in the state of Tennessee. It reads the message to me. Well, now I want to respond. Well, I can click, hey, I want to respond, and it will say, well, what do you want to say?
Right.
And then I can speak it back, and it will read it back off to me and tell me, because it transcribes through dictation, exactly what I want the message to say. And I don't think that we utilize that enough. When we're talking about notes, or sometimes we're thinking out loud, oh, I have a thought. We think, oh, let me type that real quick. Well, if you can just hit your dictation button and say it, you may say something that's 2 or 3 minutes long, and it's going to dictate it for you. Now, in that situation, you're probably not looking for 100% accuracy or reliability. You
got to be realistic to some degree there.
Now, again, with the most recent ones, and I will tell you, with Apple Intelligence, it is scary how accurate it is.
So it's come a long way recently.
In just automatically inserting the proper grammar and syntax of sentence. I mean, it is very, very interesting. It's probably going to become much more useful. But it's just something that I would encourage you to check it out on your device and utilize it. Sometimes you'll see people, if you're on an Apple device, you get an iMessage and you see that little sent with Siri. Well, that's what they've done, is they've utilized Siri to activate and go through the whole process and dictate the message. And it's a really convenient way if you've got, some AirPods or EarPods or, in any sort of microphone attached hearing device, whatever it may be, on any of these major operating systems, they can all do it. So I would just utilize it. Can save you a little bit of time, help keep you compliant with driving legally as well. That's probably the way that I use it the most in my personal life.
Mm-hmm.
But it's something that's simple. It's been there for a while, but we don't often think about utilizing and using it. And you can use it in just as if you want to send a regular message. You've got, hey, you know what? You gave me that recipe. I lost it. Can you tell me real quick about it? And here,
right.
And they can just tell you the recipe, and you're not having to try to type it in. You can just listen to them. There's so many different random uses for it. But you can get creative with it and come up with ways to use it in your everyday life.
And I think too, as it becomes more accurate, you're more likely to use it, in more instances and stuff. Because I know at the beginning, and I'm sure anyone that's tried this themselves knows that it wasn't always the most accurate, and sometimes it took you longer to try to speak it and have it dictate it for you properly than if you just typed it, with the on-screen keyboard or whatever. But now that it's getting very, very good, you'll see yourself, I think, using it more and more and using it more places. So
Yeah, like I said, it's come a long way. It's much more accurate. Of course, now with a lot of them, if it doesn't know, it will highlight to, hey, this is what we thought you said. But, you can click on it and it will give you the option. Did you mean this? Or, if it's something close, if it can't quite nail it down, it will recommend, hey, look at this and make sure we got it right too.
Right. So, hey, you can't beat that. Hey, the technology's there. Might as well use it to your benefit. So. And for this segment of the Local Click, we have Miss Taylor Malone and Miss Leeann Powell, and we'll be talking about the Emmanuel House. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
Talk a little bit about what the Emmanuel House is and to kind of describe it and what it does for people.
We are a 12 to 18 month transitional living facility. We help women and women with children when they come out of incarceration or short-term rehab facilities, homelessness, in some cases domestic violence, and we give them a safe place to rebuild and restart. We teach them all the basic life skills, everything from budgeting to employment skills, resume building, just all kinds of hands-on that they can learn to become productive members of society.
Okay. And where is the Emmanuel House located? Is it in one primary location or multiple locations? Or
We have our original location is in Carthage, and then about 2 years ago, we opened a second location in Lafayette. If
you would talk about your involvement with the program and how you got started helping.
So I actually saw a Facebook, post they put out looking for help. It's been 3.5 years ago I saw it, and I had been a stay-at-home mom, but I was looking for something to give back. And so I applied, never really thinking it would amount to much of anything. And then I got it. It just kind of took off from there.
Just kind of blossomed from there.
I just loved it. And I had the opportunity to move up and become director. Just never looked back.
No, that's great.
We're still there.
That's great. That's great. Well, Leeann, talk about your connection to the program and kind of what it's meant to you.
I've been at the Emmanuel House since May 6th, and this program is awesome. I really love Taylor and what she's done for the house since I've been there. I take ladies to the meetings. We go to 12-step meetings. Mm-hmm. You have to work, you have to find a job. And I did that the first week I was there. So once you get used to being in the house, mm-hmm. it's a lot easier than most people would think.
What kind of sets the Emmanuel House apart from similar types of programs that try to help others through situations like this?
One of the main differences is we do accept children. A lot of facilities do not. Keeping mama with babies. If they don't have their children with them, our ultimate goal is by the time they're done, they do have them placed back with them. We offer a safe place, but they don't have to be perfect there. We give them a place where if they do mess up, we can offer you the tools to fix it so you don't get out there and mess up in the real world. You have a safe place and a support system to fix your mistakes while you're there.
Right. Isn't that such a big part of it? And when you say, Leeann, is the support and having those that kind of, I won't say they're your biggest cheerleaders, but it's nice to have someone to cheer you on, to try to kind of push you forward to become something that you want to be.
Yes. There's been a couple of ladies that's been there that's been currently pregnant and have had their baby since I've been here, and watching, it's a special thing.
Yeah. I'm sure there's a lot of bonds and friendships that get made too.
My child is 19, so I didn't lose him, but I've gained a lot of, there's been a lot of things that I've gained with him back since, being out of my addiction.
Right. And have you made some friendships also?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. All of the ladies at the house were all very close knit together.
Are there any stories, maybe a story or two that you can talk about that just really come to mind where it's made such a huge impact, a huge difference? That's probably several, but
Yeah.
I don't know how you narrow it down. But can you tell us maybe one or two of those kind of things where it's been such a success and it's really helped someone turn their life around?
We've had women that, have come from generations and generations of addiction and, have grown up. We had one that both her parents were addicts. Her grandparents were addicts. That's literally all she knew. She grew up in the foster care system and had, it was over 20-something foster care placements before
goodness.
she aged out of the system. And, they don't know any better.
Right.
And then seeing her have babies and get to break the cycle for her children and be a mom, like that's not an addiction, and just like seeing, literally generations of addiction broken with her and getting to see her be a mom and have her babies and just, even though we were sad when she left, when she graduated, just getting her own place and getting to see her still, just thrive. Like that's what it's meant to do.
That's what it's all about, right? Yeah.
Yep.
That's great. That's great. And I never really thought about that before, but I bet it's kind of it's a mixed thing, right? When someone leaves because they completed the program, you're so happy they completed it, but you're kind of sad to see them go because you get close to people like that.
Yes.
You see them all the time. You can't help it. And you know each other's stories and that sort of thing. So if someone's kind of watching or listening and maybe they need some help or they have a family member and they're like, this sounds like a program that would be a really good fit for them. Do you have any kind of criteria that they need to meet before they can be accepted or enter into the program?
They do have to be detoxed. And we like for them to complete a 30-day program just to get some of the basic tools under their belt. They have to fill out an application. And it's pretty extensive. It's about 7 pages. But we look at mental health, just kind of the number of children they have, legal history, all of that. Just because we do have children in the house, so we have to kind of watch backgrounds just to keep everyone safe.
Right.
And then we just really look at mental health and making sure we can offer the services they need. Because we are, we're not in the city, so some resources are kind of limited with that. Right. We like to accept people that we think we can help,
Those that make a good fit.
Yeah.
They have the most, possibility of success, I guess you might say. Yeah. And speaking of resources, how does that work? Do you rely just solely on donations or how does that part of the program work?
So our residents do pay rent every week to help them get used to it because they're going to have to do it in the real world.
That is a real world thing for sure. Yeah.
It is a reduced rent. The rest is just donations. We haven't gone without yet, and he always provides. So
That's great. No, that's great. That's great.
We always just pray it keeps coming.
Yeah, yeah. Well, if someone wants to maybe do their part and they're touched by the mission that you guys are completing here, trying to help others, what's the best way for them to do that? Monetary donations where you can then kind of put that money where it needs to go, or is it actual like physical items that people can sometimes donate, or is it both?
Both. Money is always helpful, but also like basic household items are always toilet paper, laundry detergent,
Gotcha.
Trash bags, all the stuff you go through. Imagine that times 10.
Yeah.
We have a lot of ladies and babies.
Yeah,
So we go through a lot of it.
Yeah.
So anything like that is always super helpful too.
Do you see an impact on the lives of the children too that are kind of going through the programs with the mothers?
Getting a mother's love. Like there's nothing like a mama's love.
Yeah,
and just
that's right.
Getting to see them get that. Some of them haven't got that in the past, or so just seeing them build that relationship is always really, it's just really
It's
good
special.
to watch. Yeah.
Yeah. And Leeann, would you say you can definitely see a pattern of more hope in people, in yourself and those around you?
Yes, most definitely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Has it changed your outlook?
It has. I do have a 10-year goal plan. I hope to open a house for women too.
Oh, wow. That's great. So you never know what kind of future impact you could be having on people.
Yeah.
Do you guys rely on any kind of, I guess, technology from a day-to-day aspect?
A lot of social media, we just redid our whole website, and so that has been really big for us. And then really the way we communicate with a lot of people is through email, through our Facebook page, stuff like that.
So if people want to learn more, what's the best way for them to do that? Or if they want to get involved in some way?
Definitely check out our website, or my number is on the website and they can always call.
And that's the Emmanuel House TN.org.
Yes.
Is that right? Okay. We appreciate what you're doing and good luck with it in the future.
Thank you
so much for having us.
Thank you. Everybody stay tuned. We got more of the program coming up in just a moment.
Here's normal internet speed. Here's the gig difference. Average speed, gig. Not enough speed, gig speed. With gig internet from DTC, everything's different. Video streaming is a breeze. Music and photos fly. And gaming gets real with no data limits. That's the gig difference. Call or visit DTC online and get your gig today.
And welcome back to the final segment of the November program. And we're going to start it off by throwing it back to Justin once more for the part of the show we like to call Tech News Roundup. Go for it, Justin.
Did you ever see the Will Smith movie that was a dystopian future where artificial intelligence robots had kind of rebelled and were coming back against humanity? iRobot. The reason I say that, and this is kind of my segue into Tesla recently did an event, and Elon Musk was on stage for a lot of it, as he typically is, and they chose an interesting name for it. I'm not so sure that the name was probably the best choice because they called it We Robot to introduce. And I thought that was an interesting concept that my mind immediately went to, but what I relate that to, robots didn't turn out to be the best. So Tesla hosted a huge event. And of course, when Tesla hosts an event for anything and they're announcing new products,
it's always big news.
Yeah, it's big news. You get eyeballs on them.
Right.
And so really there were a couple big things that came out of this. The introduction of a new vehicle, and this time they did not have a botched demonstration where they broke what was supposedly unbreakable glass in the midst of the demonstration. But Elon Musk on stage introduced the Cybercab. And ride sharing, we know, is a huge industry now in our country and across the world. Now they are introducing what they hope to see on the roads at some point, which were really, the price of them was not as bad as I thought it would be, autonomous vehicles to be able to use for ride sharing. And, Google has been attempting this in some markets, San Francisco, Phoenix, and some other markets with their Waymo service that they've been offering. And so this would be seen as a competitor to it. Though it would be, you're selling it to a business, to utilize within. This is not going to be operated. Tesla will not be operating a cab service or a rideshare service, but they will be offering a product for you to incorporate into your business model. So that's kind of interesting. We've seen kind of how they've come with what they call FSD or full self-driving in their Tesla models and kind of the advancements, and they try to stay on the cutting edge. So it's going to be interesting to see how that shakes out. I know there's some questions and concerns, and this is not something that is available now, right? So it's a future thing. They did also walk out their robots, their Optimus robots, which they announced way back in.
Did you say Optimus?
Optimus.
As in Optimus Prime, yes. Transformers, that sort of thing?
That is correct. Yes. Yes, they are using the name Optimus. Okay. So they had a second-gen revision sometime last year of the robots, and this is actually the public reveal of those robots, which they're a humanoid form robot, and they marched them out on the stage, and then they even used them afterwards in the after announcement party to serve and do some other things like that to their guests in the party after the fact. Now, again, there was some scrutiny in this because there was some human input behind the scenes that was going on.
That was helping.
That was not fully disclosed. But what's always interesting when I see robots of this nature, it's not what can they do. It's, are they able to not necessarily respond to commands, but can they function with their hands and pick things up? Like these simple tasks, like picking this phone up, we take for granted, but that's incredibly difficult for a robot to do in a natural way. And that it was doing that very well, but they were having trouble understanding people and some other things. But again, it's not a final release product. This is just a preview. We're just trying to show you what's going on. So very interesting to see what Tesla's going to do there. And
hey, do you remember the very first robot, I don't know if you say maid or helper for the household, that was introduced into a cartoon many years ago? Rosie on the Jetsons. Do you remember the Jetsons?
Oh, yeah.
Vaguely. We're going back a few years on that one. Yeah, see, they were ahead of the times.
Jetsons was ahead of my time and before my time too.
Yeah, you don't have to rub that in. But I bet a lot of people at home that are watching that may be of my vintage or more may remember that, and that was a big deal. And it's funny because you see these things that were futuristic, at the time. Not so futuristic anymore. This is current. So
no, still not quite got the flying car down.
Not yet,
though.
Not yet. So, hey. You never know, though.
We'll see. When does it happen?
Give Elon about 10 years. He may have one. So.
Yeah. Hey, listen, he's when he puts his mind to something, he generally does it.
He does. He has a way of bringing some very smart people together for one common goal and trying to solve problems. I had to give him that. So
he does a good job with it. Moving on to Google. Google's doing something that's very interesting. They've signed a contract and an agreement that's the first of its kind. So because of AI, and a lot of people, the behind the scenes of AI that people don't think about, requires these massive data centers and processing and power consumption to be able to power all of these models. And we think of this on-device technology that we have. Well, a lot of that's occurring off-device in these data centers.
Right.
So what Google has done is they have signed a contract with a company to buy clean nuclear energy from what's called SMRs, small modular reactors. Now, small modular reactors are not very common in the U.S. yet. In European countries, they are very common. So what they are, instead of building these huge, large nuclear power plants, they just build smaller reactors, but they just build more of them. So you have more reactors, but they're smaller, more contained, less possibility of if there is a problem or a leak or something like that, it's not the scale of it is going to be a lot smaller. But Google, knowing and understanding that they're going to have all these data centers all over the place, have signed this contract to buy the power from them to be able to power their AI data centers that are coming up and being built and coming online. And so it's interesting to see the shift. We know that power consumption, as we continue to head into the future, while things are more efficient because we are so dependent upon technology, while the actual chips and devices become more power efficient, there's going to be so many more of them, and so the scale is just through the roof. And so Google's trying to go this way and get out ahead of the curve. So it's going to be interesting to see from a technology standpoint, but then also from an energy standpoint in the future of energy, will we see more of a shift from the current consumption of energy maybe to these smaller nuclear plants, not just in Europe. We don't have them here yet. It's going to be interesting to see if we start seeing them here in the U.S. too.
That reminds me of another thing going back to, movies and entertainment and prediction of future technologies. Do you remember one of the first miniature nuclear reactors in a movie? Mr. Fusion, Back to the Future.
Oh, yes.
Do you remember that?
Yes,
hey,
yes.
They predicted that. And
yes.
Yeah.
Which we have, it's very interesting to think. We don't have any of these small nuclear power plants in the U.S., but a lot of our naval fleet submarines are nuclear powered. So they're using that technology. We have that technology in a small form factor. It's just not being used outside of military use right now.
Right. It's not like throwing a used banana peel into the DeLorean to travel back in time or forward in time, right? Yeah.
Correct. And then last, and I'll just mention this briefly, Apple Intelligence is here with the release of iOS 18.1 and the new versions of macOS and iPadOS. Apple Intelligence has been released. Now, if you're out there and you've got an iPhone, you got to have an iPhone 15 Pro or an iPhone 16, one of those lineups, or you have to have a Mac with an M1 chip in it or one of the newer iPads to be able to power those functions. I can tell you I've already been running the beta. I've been running the beta for a few weeks just to test it out. And when I tell you the dictation feature that we talked about earlier, that's really where it's improved is through this Apple Intelligence. Of course, Google has Gemini and Samsung has Bixby and Amazon has Alexa. So everybody's got their smart AI assistants. They're all doing the same thing. But Apple's finally jumped in. They're late to the game, and that's not unusual for Apple to be late to the market on something. I read something that said they believe that they may be a couple of years behind, but it looks like over the next year they're going to be pretty aggressive with their integrations. But if you want to jump on the Apple Intelligence bandwagon, if you've got an Apple device, you don't just install your newer operating system, which will be available, so you can go check your software updates when you hear this. But once you do it, you have to go in and you have to sign up, and there is a waiting list.
Oh, okay.
So depending upon how many people are trying to sign up now, you may get in a few hours. You may have to wait a little bit. So if you want to do it, I'd go ahead and install it and sign up now so that you don't have to wait too long. It's been pretty interesting. I've been testing it out, and I can ask and say those magic words to get Siri to come up. And
what's wrong? You don't want to say that, right?
I don't want to say that.
You don't want everyone's device at home to light up when you say that?
Yes, I don't want to do that. A funny story is I used to work with someone named Sarah, and my wife is also named Sarah. So I can tell you, when you say hey, followed by the name Sarah, it often gets confused. Your Apple device gets confused with who you were talking to.
That's what you say, hey, I wasn't talking to you.
Yes.
I like that. Well, thanks, Justin. I really appreciate it. Thanks for sharing that with us.
Yeah, glad to be here.
So we're going to change gears now and go to What's Up DTC, where we like to talk about the different places that DTC will be. The Smith County Career Day, which will be at the Ag Center there in South Carthage, and that'll be on November the 12th. And then as far as programming goes for DTC3, it's almost high school basketball season for us in our coverage, so make sure you keep in touch with our website information at dtc3.tv, where we'll have a schedule of the various games that we plan on covering for playback throughout the basketball season. It's always a fun time to see the kids play, and a lot of excitement and a lot of good teams in the area too. But that's about all we have as far as events coming up for the month of November. And that's also about all we have as far as this month's episode. So we hope you've enjoyed it. It's been a lot of fun. Thanks, Justin, for joining me as always. Also, thanks to the Arts Center of Cannon County and the Emmanuel House. And thanks to you. So make sure you tune in with us for December, which will be the first Wednesday of December, when we have the next episode of The Local Click. Thanks for watching.
Learn more about the show by visiting us online at thelocalclick.com. Also, be sure to subscribe to us on your favorite podcast or video platform so you won't miss our next episode of The Local Click. See you next month.